There are places in the void where light dies without sound. But in the silence, something stirs. The command room was pitch black. Zerketh's translator AI sputtered warnings in fragmented syntax, its processes scrambling against a sudden electromagnetic burst. Unknown presence detected. Motion. Thud. A low, guttural sound echoed through the chamber, like metal dragging across bone. Zerketh's breath caught in his throat sacs. He tapped his wrist plate, activating a soft spectrum light. Nothing. The skeletal remained still, lay slumped against the walls. The child's hologram was gone in its place, static. He turned. The corridor behind him was empty. Then, slam. He was airborne. Something, fast, silent, and overwhelmingly strong, had ripped him off his feet and hurled him down the hallway. He struck a bulkhead hard enough to dent it, his suit's kinetic, gel dispersing the impact. Before he could rise, a boot pinned his throat, not a claw, a boot. His vision adjusted. A figure loomed above him, humanoid, female, armored in layered plating that shimmered with self-repairing nanosilk. Her face was partially exposed, human, scarred, eyes glowing faint red from a cranial neural interface. A stylized sigil adorned her pauldron, a burning earth, crossed by a sword made of light. She spoke. You broke protocol, accessed the archive, entered dead space without sanction, and triggered the wake. Her voice was fire wrapped in ice. Zerketh's translator stammered, scrambling to understand the dialect. It barely kept up. Who are you? He rasped. Ashborn, she replied. And you've stepped into what was meant to be forgotten. She pressed a finger to her helmet. A second later, 3 more figures emerged from the shadows. All human, all armored, all watching him like apex predators, deciding if the prey was worth eating. They dragged him through the derelict station, through sealed doors that hissed, open at their presence, into a tunnel deeper than the initial scans revealed. The walls shifted, literally. Metal reshaped itself in response to their proximity, revealing a lift descending into what should have been the asteroid's core. But it wasn't hollow. It was built. Beneath the station, a hidden city pulsed with life. Glowing reactors bathed, structures in blue light, children trained in artificial gravity rings, drones zipped between repair zones, human tech hybridized with alien alloy, thrummed with forbidden energy. This is Cradle 9, the woman said, 1 of 7. We are what's left of what they tried to kill. Zerketh stared, stunned. They said humans were extinct. They lied. A holographic banner flared to life. Ancient Earth, encased in a steel wreath of flame. The woman leaned close. We've watched you forget us, rewrite us as myth. We let it happen because we were waiting. Waiting for what? She smiled, cold, knowing. For the stars to believe they were safe, so we could show them what it means to remember. Space was not silent. It screamed, if you knew how to listen. The Thurval Archivum, once the jewel of the knowledge quadrant, drifted silently at the edge of a dying system. Its outer panels, scarred by micrometeorite storms, glowed dimly in the light of a bloated red dwarf. Inside, long halls of crystal data shards whispered their secrets into eternal silence, and dust clung to every surface, like time itself refusing to let go. Zerketh clicked softly, a sound like tapping glass as he moved through the restricted sublayer. The scent of oxidized plasma and decay curled in the recycled air. He shouldn't be here. Unauthorized access to red-depth memory caches was punishable by vaporization, but his mandibles tightened with excitement, because he had found something no one had, or should have, in over 2,000 cycles, a corrupted artifact. Biological context, Terran origin, age, pre-union, language, unknown, extinct. Designation, Homo sapiens. The data cube lay cradled in stasis, burnt, fractured and pulsing faintly with residual memory echoes. Sirketh had found it hidden inside a ruined vault ship recovered from the Andronic Rift. At first he thought it was junk, but as he decrypted layer after layer, something strange emerged. Stories of bipedal mammals who once conquered their homeworld, then the stars, then each other, then nothing. No records of war, no extinction logs, no last contact. Just silence, erasure, like they'd never existed. Archivist, his assistant AI chirped nervously in his neural stem. Your vitals have spiked. You are in a restricted zone. Shall I contact security? No, Sirketh snapped. Prepare. A clean relay. I need to stream this to private memory. He tapped the cube. It flared and a holographic stream projected upward. First, chaos. Earth cities, burning. Megastructures torn apart by energy lances. Screaming. Then, silence. A singular word repeated in hundreds of languages, scrawled on walls, broadcast from satellites, painted in blood on concrete. Remember. The feed glitched, then showed something else. A ring of exoplanets surrounded by war debris and bones. One voice, calm, human, male. They feared what we could become, so they buried us, but we're still out here. Sirketh froze. A note was attached to the last log entry, signed by someone named Elias Vance, Terran Sentinel Corps. We didn't die. We adapted. And when the stars forget us, we remember everything. He stepped back, heart pumping cold ichor. The cube burned white hot. An alarm screamed from the station's AI core. Alert. Forbidden archive access. Location logged. Erasure team en route. His eyes widened. They didn't just delete humanity. They buried them and built a galaxy over the grave. They weren't forgotten by accident, he whispered. He ran. Past vaults and knowledge tombs. Past machines built to hide truth, because somewhere at the edge of the known galaxy, something was waiting. Something angry. Something human. Beyond the galactic veil, light itself seemed hesitant to travel. And sound, it came only in whispers and warnings. The silent belt was a graveyard, not by name, but by legacy. Ships sent there vanished. Probes stopped transmitting. Entire scouting crews were swallowed in unmarked silence. Even the stars seemed dimmer in this region of space, like the galaxy had drawn a curtain over some forgotten shame. Sirketh's vessel, the Vox Relicta, was a sleek, compact research craft. Fast enough to outrun trouble, small enough to sneak past attention. But out here, speed meant nothing. Signals bent unnaturally. Gravity fields pulsed like distant drums. And through it, all a transmission, impossibly ancient, had been pinging through the void for 412 years. Akir Korelamwam. Morse code. Sirketh's translation AI had barely cracked it. We remember. He followed the signal to its source. A derelict station. Small, jagged, and partially embedded in a drifting asteroid. The hull was blackened from multiple impacts. Strange glyphs, neither alien nor purely human, were carved into its surface like a warning to trespassers. Its beacon was still active. Its solar panels cracked and barely functional. Atmosphere, integrity at 23%. Radiation levels lethal, the AI warned. Perfect, Sirketh muttered, pulling on his exo-carapace. The airlock wheezed open with a screech, metal grinding like it hadn't moved in centuries. Inside, the station smelled of dust and burnt wiring, but beneath that, the scent of something organic long decayed. He swept his light across the interior, empty halls, shattered terminals. Blood, long dried, clinging to the walls in splatters, like a painter's desperate final stroke. Every door he passed bore the same scratched word in multiple dialects. Remember, gouged into the steel, like a prayer. In the command center, Sirketh found what he didn't expect. A single, flickering hologram still playing, a human child's face. She was drawing, humming softly in a language the AI couldn't identify. She sketched a picture. Earth crumbling under a red sun. Around it, dark ships circled, some marked with assembly sigils. Above all, she drew figures, tall, armored, glowing with red eyes and fire in their hands. Her voice was faint. When they sent us away, Mama said we'd sleep for a while, that we'd wake up when they needed us again. Then, static. Shirketh turned slowly. In the adjacent chamber, skeletal remains, dozens, clutching old rifles, helmets marked with TSC, Terran Sentinel Corps, one of them still gripped, a portable transmitter. He activated it. "This is Commander Elias Vance, if you're hearing this. We didn't fade, we adapted. They thought they could erase us. They were wrong. We are still out here, and we remember." Suddenly, the lights died. A soft thud echoed behind him. Something had just moved in the dark, and the signal stopped. There is no silence more terrifying than the one humming behind locked doors, the kind that guards secrets and screams. The lift descended for nearly 10 minutes, far beyond what Zirketh believed structurally possible. The deeper they went, the colder the air became, but not from temperature. It was the kind of cold born from knowing you were passing beneath history that was never meant to be uncovered. Rhea Vance, the Ashborn commander, stood in silence beside him, her eyes forward. The other soldiers flanked him like sentinels, emotionless and still. Finally, the doors opened. The chamber beyond was not a lab. It was a cathedral of science and defiance. Rows upon rows of containment tanks glowed in eerie blue and green. Inside them floated things. Humanoid. Yet not. Some had spines reinforced with coiled titanium. Others bore metallic subdermal lattices. A few were eyeless, their heads encased in neural bands that pulsed with simulated thought. What are these?" Shirketh whispered, horrified. Rhea walked ahead, voice quiet, like she was in a shrine. "The future, our punishment, and our evolution." She stopped before a console and gestured. A hologram bloomed above the terminal, an ancient video. A human man, in a military lab coat, appeared, pale with sunken eyes. Dr. Halem Ives, Terran genomancer, dated nearly 600 cycles ago. "They called it Protocol Vindicta," he said into the recorder. "A failsafe. If the assembly tried to wipe us out, we'd ensure extinction wasn't an option." He gestured behind him at similar tanks. "The forbidden genome. Custom-forged traits, resilience, adaptability, memory retention beyond normal decay, neural thread interfaces, human-AI fusion, intergenerational. They said it was abomination. We called it survival." The video glitched. Screams echoed in the background. Explosions. The lab shook as if under siege. "If anyone finds this, we didn't fall. They hunted us, but we adapted. Our blood remembers, and one day, so will they." The feed ended. Shirketh took a trembling step back. "You engineered yourselves into something new, something beyond baseline human." Rhea turned, her voice hardening. "Because we had no choice. The assembly didn't just erase us. They rewrote galactic memory. They made our name a myth, our culture a footnote, our children targets." She gestured to a nearby tank. Inside floated a girl, maybe 12, eyes closed, wires woven into her spine. Her heartbeat flickered across a monitor. "Her name is Lyra, 3rd-generation Ashborn. She's never known Earth, never seen the sky, but she can access memories 3 generations deep, including the genocide. That's impossible, not for us." Suddenly the lights flickered, alarms chimed, low and urgent. "Incoming signal," one soldier reported. "Unmarked ship, assembly make, stealth class, scanning us." Shirketh's blood froze. "They found me." Rhea stared up toward the surface. Her hand drifted to her weapon, her voice was a whisper. "Then the wake has truly begun. They erased Earth from the maps, the data, and the stars. But not from orbit. The assembly warship, Halcyon's Wake, dropped out of stealth with a silent flash, a predator emerging from the black. Its sleek design shimmered with advanced cloaking, tech, its weapons primed and humming. Its purpose was singular: total sterilization of unauthorized entities. It didn't broadcast warnings. It didn't offer surrender. It opened fire. Down below, Cradle 9 shook violently. Shockwaves thundered through the chamber as debris rained from the ceiling. Children screamed. Sirens flared. Shirketh clutched a railing as the world tilted. They'll glass this entire facility. Rhea was already moving. Not before we show them what they've been pretending doesn't exist. She led him into a secondary chamber, smaller than the others, darker. At the center, a wall of ancient keypads and analog switches. Dust clung to everything. Above them, engraved into the metal, Terran Defense Vault 17B. Authorization. Ghost Protocol. "This isn't a weapons cache," Zirketh said. "This is a tomb." "No," Rhea whispered. "It's a fleet." She moved to the console and placed her hand on the biometric plate. The device scanned her genome and hesitated, as if recognizing something older than its systems. Then the screen flared green. Genetic match confirmed. Sentinel lineage, Vance, Ghost Protocol. Online, the vault rumbled. Far above the asteroid's crust, hidden beneath rock and magnetic shielding, a hatch the size of a city bloomed open. From within, massive objects began to rise. Long, angular ships marked with forgotten Terran sigils, their hulls faded and battle-scarred. They weren't pristine. They weren't polished, but they were alive. "The Ghost Fleet," Rhea said. "Hidden, buried, waiting." One of the ships, TSV Deliverance, powered on with a scream of metal and fire. Its ancient engines coughed stardust. Energy surged down its spine, activating spinal cannons once used to crack dreadnoughts. "They left them in orbit?" Zirketh asked in awe. "No," she replied. "They buried them in the asteroid belt, surrounded by dead systems, cloaked in myth." Above them, the Halcyon's wake hesitated. Scans picked up what shouldn't exist. 57 capital-class Terran warships rising from nowhere, forming a net around the assault ship. The assembly commander demanded identification. "TSV," Deliverance responded. "A single transmission. Memory cannot be deleted, only delayed. You should have let us sleep." The Ghost Fleet opened fire. Blue plasma arcs lit the darkness like vengeful ghosts. The assembly vessel tried to retreat, but was already impaled by kinetic rods pierced by beam lances engulfed in fire. From Cradle 9, the children watched through reinforced glass as the sky burned with retribution. A new star had appeared, made not of light, but vengeance. Rhea turned to Zirketh. "They'll send more." "Then what happens now?" he asked. She loaded her rifle. Now the galaxy learns what it forgot. When the forgotten awaken, the galaxy trembles. History is not just written, it's reclaimed. The aftermath of the Ghost Fleet's sudden eruption was a shockwave felt across countless star systems. The assembly's control, so confident, so absolute, was suddenly fractured by the reemergence of a force believed to be myth. Transmission after transmission flickered across the galactic networks. Cryptic signals, ancient dialects, fragments of human languages long thought lost. Each one a beacon, a call to arms, a warning. "We are not dead, we are not gone, we are Ashborn, we remember." Shirketh and Rhea stood on the command deck of the Deliverance watching a vast holographic map. The assembly's territories blazed red, but new pockets of blue began to appear, like islands rising from a drowned world. "There are 6 more cradles like this one." Rhea's voice was steel. "Each hidden beneath a forgotten moon, a lost station, a shattered planet, and each awakens with a fleet." The Deliverance shuddered as distant artillery fire echoed through the void, a reminder that the assembly was mobilizing fast. Suddenly, a warning blinked on the console. A massive assembly battle group was closing in on Cradle 3. The next, Ashborn Sanctuary. "If they take Cradle 3, they'll destroy our momentum," Zirketh said. Rhea's eyes narrowed. "Then we don't let them, we fight back." Outside the viewport, fighters streamed forward like swarms of fireflies, sleek Ashborn crafts armed with plasma cannons and adaptive shields. They darted between shattered asteroid fields and swirling nebulae, engaging the enemy in a brutal ballet of death. The battle erupted without mercy. Explosions bloomed like fireworks in the void. Ships twisted and shattered, metal ripping and plasma searing the dark. But the Ashborn fought with something the Assembly never anticipated: memory. Every tactic, every strategy was inherited from centuries of combat encoded in their DNA, and Skirketh piloted a fighter alongside Rhea's strike wing, feeling the adrenaline of the war pulse through him. They dodged missile volleys, returned fire, and struck enemy carriers with surgical precision. "The galaxy thinks we're ghosts," Rhea shouted over ComCom's voice fierce. "But ghosts don't bleed. We do. And we burn brighter than any star." Suddenly, a piercing alarm. An Assembly dreadnought decloaked directly behind them, its weapons locking on. "Brace!" Zerketh shouted. A barrage of ion blasts ripped through the void, tearing chunks from their hull. Systems flickered, warning lights blinking frantically. With seconds to spare, Rhea triggered the Deliverance's experimental phase shift drive, a last-ditch escape that bent space around them in a shimmering ripple. They vanished. But the battle raged on. As the smoke of war thickened, transmissions arrived from other cradles, reports of resistance, of victories, of sacrifices. The Reclamation War was no longer a fight for survival. It was a war to take back the stars. In war, the hardest battles aren't fought in the void. They're fought in the shadows of trust. The Deliverance drifted silently in the void near Cradle 5, a fractured moon orbiting a dying star. The glow of distant battles painted the ships, hull in cold blues and fiery reds. Zerketh stood on the bridge, eyes fixed on the holographic projection of the Ashborn networks. "They say the Assembly isn't our only enemy anymore." Rhea's voice cut through the tension. Behind her, the communication officer nodded grimly. "Several factions have surfaced: mercenaries, exiles, alien warlords, and a rogue human faction calling themselves the Children of Terra." Zerketh frowned. "Children of Terra? I thought all humans but Ashborn were extinct." "Not all," Rhea replied. "Some survived outside the Assembly's reach, carving out brutal empires. They hate us, view us as mutated remnants. They'll ally with anyone to stop the Ashborn resurgence." Suddenly, the bridge alarms flared. Sensors detected an incoming ship, unmarked, fast and heavily armed. "Unknown vessel entering perimeter," the officer warned. On the main viewport, a sleek cruiser emerged from the shadows, its hull emblazoned with a black emblem, a clenched fist encircled by flames. The comm crackled to life. "Ashborn, you tread dangerous paths," a cold female voice spoke. "We are the Children of Terra. Your awakening threatens the balance. Surrender or face extinction." Rhea's jaw tightened. "We don't surrender to myths." Before the exchange could escalate, a second transmission interrupted. A deep, resonant voice speaking in an alien tongue. Subtitles flickered on the screen. "I am Cathar of the Varak Collective. Your fight threatens us all." A new hologram materialized. A towering reptilian figure adorned in tribal armor, eyes glowing with ancient wisdom and suspicion. "We offer alliance or war." The room erupted in chaos. Zerketh turned to Rhea. "Two fronts, and neither trusts us." She nodded, tension etched deep in her face. "In this war, trust is a currency more precious than plasma or bullets, and just as rare." The Ashborn Council convened below decks, a gathering of commanders, scientists, and diplomats. Voices rose and clashed like storm waves, debating strategy, alliances, and survival. "The Virak control key warp routes," argued one commander. "Without them, our fleets are trapped." "The Children of Terra wield brutal tactics," countered another. "They'll betray us the moment we weaken." Zerketh watched as Rhea brokered fragile truces, navigating a labyrinth of political intrigue that could tear their cause apart. War isn't just about battles, she said, quietly. It's about knowing who your enemies are, and when to embrace the unexpected allies who make you stronger. Just then, the ship's sensors flared. Incoming message. Urgent distress call from Cradle 2. The hologram shifted to a battered Ashborn fighter, bloodied and desperate. Assembly forces are overwhelming. We need reinforcements. Now. Ria's eyes hardened. The war isn't waiting for diplomacy, it's here, and it's coming for all of us. They were cast to the edge of the galaxy, dismissed as myths. But legends are born in the fire of survival, and rewritten in the blood of defiance. The war had stretched across the stars like wildfire, a brutal clash of wills, metal, and memories. Now the final battle loomed. Cradle 2's battered surface was a war zone, scarred by fire and jagged scars of shattered cities. Assembly warships hovered like vultures, their engines drowning out the cries below. Zirketh stood beside Ria, overlooking the devastated cityscape through reinforced glass. Around them, Ashborn warriors prepared for the assault that would decide their fate. "This is more than survival," Ria said, voice low but fierce. "It's about reclaiming who we are, not just as humans, but as a force no one can erase." Zirketh clenched his fists. "After everything, do you think the galaxy will listen?" Ria's eyes flashed with stubborn hope. "They have to, or the assembly wins, and all of us vanish into forgotten dust." The assembly fleet descended, weapons blazing, tearing through the atmosphere with relentless fury. But the Ashborn had a secret: the combined power of the Ghost Fleet and the newly forged alliances. Ships rose from hidden bays, joined by Varak war cruisers and even reluctant children of Terra fighters, their weapons singing in deadly harmony. Gekbrite. Ignited explosions blossomed like deadly stars. Plasma bolts carved through warships. Fighters danced in lethal ballets of destruction. Amid the chaos, Zirketh and Ria led a strike team through crumbling tunnels, fighting to disable the Assembly's central command. "We're the last hope," Ria whispered, voice steady despite the chaos. "If we fail here, everything dies." They breached the command chamber. The Assembly's warlord, cold and unyielding, awaited, a living symbol of erasure and oppression. "Your relics," he sneered. "Forgotten races belong in history books." Ria raised her rifle. "We're the ones who write the future." The fight was brutal. Every strike a testament to centuries of survival, every breath stolen a defiance of extinction. When the warlord fell, the Assembly's grip shattered like brittle ice. Outside, the Ashborn broadcasted a single message across every channel: "We are not forgotten. We are the legacy of Earth, born anew. To the stars we return, free, unyielding, and remembered." Moral: even when cast aside, when history tries to bury a people and their story, the spark of identity and resilience burns deep. The true strength of humanity isn't just survival. It's the unbreakable will to be remembered, to fight for a future where no one is forgotten.